What's up, Planeswalkers? It's your boy K-Dog. We're back in Historic with a kind of a janky little Gruul list. So this is one of those cards that's been around since Dominaria, and hasn't really seen a whole lot of play, but it's super fun. 3 mana, 3/3 Elf Archer with Trample. Whenever you cast a spell, if that spell was kicked, put a +1/+1 counter on Hallar, then Hallar deals damage equal to the number of +1/+1 counters to each opponent. So if you kick a spell, you'll do damage to your opponent equal to the number of counters on it. Does not care how those counters were put on there. It just cares that you kick the spell and that you have counters on Hallar. So obviously the kicker spells that we got in Dominaria were pretty medium at best, especially in terms of synergizing with Hallar and running some kind of an aggro style list. They're just not very good. The carrier costs tend to be overpriced for what they do, especially relative to other more kind of competitive decks. But since then we've got some nice counter synergy. So even just putting a bunch of counters in this, and then you kick one single spell, you can potentially one-shot kill your opponent with a Hallar, with any kicker spell basically. So what we're going to do here is we do want to run all four of these. This is a 3/3, so it could certainly be a target for removal. So you definitely want to have as many opportunities to get a Hallar out as you can. So we're in all 4 copies. So starting here, we have Shivan Fire. It's a sorcery instant speed, deal 2 damage to target creature. You can kick it for additional 4, so that's 4 plus the 1 red that you see here. So 5 mana to deal 4 damage to a creature. So like I said, kicker costs are just a little bit overpriced for what they do. Spending 5 mana to deal 4 damage to a creature only is pretty medium. But however, you just kind of, if you need to deal 4 damage to something, then obviously you're going to try to kick this if you can, and you need that kicker obviously for Hallar. So Pelt Collector here gives us a 1/1 for 1 mana, and obviously it grows, so we're running a little bit of a counter sub theme here as well. So we know if we don't draw Hallar, or if our opponent just kills Hallar every time we play it, we have other creatures that we can potentially help us win or pressure our opponent, so we can actually kill them with a Hallar kick trigger. We also have 3 copies here of Gift of Growth, 2 mana, instant speed. Untapped creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn, so it's kind of a cute little combat trick, not very good. You can pay additional 2, so 4 total mana, and that creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn instead. So not very efficient, but can certainly get people in certain situations. And obviously we just need to try to fit in kicker spells whenever we can without kind of overdoing it. So 3 Shivan Fires, 3 Gift of Growth. We also have 4 Growth Chamber Guardians. Just a nice creature, obviously tons of play in the Ravnica standard, and I think it fits in nicely still here in what we're trying to do as well. 2 mana, 2/2, you adapt 2 for 3 mana, and whenever it counters a opponent for any reason, you get to search for another Growth Chamber Guardian and put it into your hand. Untamed Kavu here is a 2 mana, 2/2, Vigilance and Trample. This card I haven't really seen a whole lot of play, but I actually think it's pretty decent, and you can kick her for 3. And it enters with 3 +1/+1 counters on it. So a 5 mana, 5/5 Vigilance Trample is not anything amazing, but it's actually not terrible. Vigilance and Trample are pretty sweet abilities, especially if you can increase the number of counters on it with Trample already built into it, is actually not bad. All right, Domri's Ambush gives us some removal. Just 3 copies here. Maybe running 4 would be better, but we're just only made room for the 3 copies here. +1 counter on target creature you control, then that creature deals damage to power planeswalker or creature that we don't control. So it just kills something on our opponent's side. Invigorating Surge, instant speed lets us put a counter on a creature, then double the number of counters on that creature. So if we can Invigorating Surge on a Hallar, and give like a double the number of counters, so it gets 2. It already has a counter on it, so we have 2, and then we double it, and it goes up to 4 counters, and then we kick something, and we can put additional counter and deal 5 damage. Could be pretty relevant, and especially we have other ways to put counters on it, so you can definitely get this a lot higher than that. That just kind of like at a minimum, just to kind of give you some idea of what we're trying to do here. 3 copies here of Jadelight Ranger. It is double green and 1 for 2/1. When it enters, it explores, then it explores again. Explores is you reveal the top card of your library. Land goes into your hand. Anything else you can choose to leave it on top of your library or put it into your graveyard if it's not something you want to draw into. First Iroan Games makes a 1/1 human soldier token when it comes down. Then after that, you put 3 +1/+1 counters to target creature you control. Obviously, you're going to try to target our Hallar. And then if we control creature power 4 or greater, we have to draw 2 cards. So the card advantage can be pretty sweet. And then we'll get a gold token here as well. So that's going to help us kind of ramp into those expensive kicker spells, but just 2 copies because it only works in certain, obviously once we've got other stuff set up, if we have a Hallar out and we have spells to potentially kick with it and actually get that value off of. But certainly if we can get some value off this, and it gives us a 1/1/2 kind of chump block while we're attacking, maybe with our Hallar with trample and things like that. Vivien also gives us some more interaction here with her -3, being able to deal damage to a creature or a planeswalker. And the +1, of course, putting counters on up to 2 target creatures we control, and those creatures gain trample until end of turn. Obviously, Hallar and the Kavu already have trample, but you know, on a Jadelight Ranger can be pretty powerful. Pelt Collector growing it, if it doesn't already have the 3 counters to give it trample, is pretty sweet. And of course, Growth Chamber Guardian, making it a 4/4, putting the counters on it, letting you basically adapt for free, is pretty sweet. And finally here, Wildwood Scourge. It's an X and green for a enters with X +1 counters on it, and then whenever one or more counters are put on a non-Hydro creature you control, put a +1 counter on Wildwood Scourge. So putting a bunch of counters on things, or Hallars, or kicking our Untamed Kavus, adapting our Growth Chamber Guardians, and there's no other Hydras but this. So anything that you put counters on besides this, it's going to help grow the Wildwood Scourge as well. And then Vivien can give it plus counters and trample as well. So this thing can be pretty powerful as well. So mana base here, we're mostly green obviously. So we've got 5 mountains, 10 forests, 4 Rootbound Crag, 4 Stomping Ground. So there's 23 lands, and so we're trying to be pretty lean, even though we do have you know, some expensive kicker spells. But we're just going to trust that the deck will provide. So obviously, Hallar is pretty janky, but there's still some pretty reasonable stuff in here. So you could try this in the lower ranks, and it would hold its own. It's only going to help you so far, though. So depending on what level you're at, you might want to stick to the unranked play queue. But if you want to try this out in the ranked play queue, here's the kind of the sideboard I've been working with. 3 Ranger's Guile to protect your Hallar. Also gives it +1/+1, and with a trample, that can be pretty sweet. Especially if your opponent tries to go to kill your Hallar in combat, we can give it hexproof and punch through for additional damage, so that's pretty sweet. A couple Flame Leaps to deal with any sort of aggro matchups, goblins, elves, whatever. Dealing 2 damage instant speed to all creatures on the board. A couple of Goblin Ruinblasters for, it does have the kicker, so obviously similar to what we're trying to do, and it destroys non-basic lands, which is obviously relevant for Field of the Dead, among other matchups. A couple of Rampaging Ferocidon, shut down any life gain, and also for Field of the Dead matchups or anything like that, where they're trying to flood the board with a bunch of counters, because Rampaging Ferocidon doesn't care about what type of creature, if it's a counter, if it's a token, or just a regular actual creature. It's going to punish both players for having creatures enter in the battlefield, and it's a 3/3 menace, so pretty solid creature all around. Thrashing Brontodon, since we're mostly green, we don't mind having a Brontodon here for 1 green. It's a nice 3/4 body, can work in aggro matchups, and then be able to destroy artifacts or enchantments instant speed. Obviously works against Amber Cleaves and things like that. Klothys here, if we need some graveyard interaction, be able to exile cards out of the graveyard. And also Ramping could be relevant as well. Obviously we do have all of our powerful kicker costs, and we have plenty of red and green permanents to get to 7 Devotion. And it's indestructible as well. So Klothys is just a nice kind of utility card here. And if we need to really increase our power level, it's kind of my go-to here is Questing Beast, since we're kind of all in on our main board strategy. But if you want to, have a sideboard option to kind of increase your power level against planeswalkers and removal heavy decks like sweepers, you can just play a Questing Beast after they shattered your sky or whatever the case may be. Hit them for 4, deal 4 damage to the planeswalker, hopefully kill it, and things like that. And just all the text on this is it's pretty stupid. And whenever any of that text is relevant, then you can sideboard this in. All right, we're going to play some best of 1 though and see how it goes. Okay, against Adder Moray. We have turn 1 Pelt Collector, turn 2 Growth Chamber, turn 3 Hallar. We have a kicker spell. Double Mountain is a bit awkward, but it's not going to hold us back from casting anything, so we are going to keep. We're just looking for more counter synergies at this point. Vivien, Invigorating Surge, anything like that. If we do stall out for some reason, we can always adapt this Growth Chamber to kind of thin the deck. But yeah, now we can kind of go aggro with Pelt Collector into Growth Chamber, and they'll probably just think we're a Gruul aggro list. Life gain, aren't you special? Alright, so we got you to put a counter on the Pelt Collector, swing for 2. You probably have a creature here. We're just going to do our Hallar online, then we can follow it up with Iroan games, draw some cards. Cool, Sullivan. Okay, so 1/2. If they do have removal for a Hallar, then we just get We just have a backup. Otherwise, we just fire off this Iroan game, just make a 1/1 to kind of jump block, or just help us kind of go wide a little bit. Okay, vampires. So what do you do here, opponent? You're gonna sack your Gruul Celebrant to kill the Pelt Collector. Sweet. And now your Sorin is down. So we'll take that off the board. And they're 18, so they're still in a good shape, especially if they find a sweeper here. We'd have a Hallar backup. Oh, Drana, that's pretty cool. I wonder if this is a LVD's list. I think he just ran one the other day. Obviously want that there. So we'd have a kicker. But I think we're just going to go here, and see what they do. Let's adapt. I don't want to overextend. Thin the deck a little bit so we can maybe get some land or something like that. We hit them down to 9. Drainer doesn't really do much on an empty board, so I'm not too worried about that. So it does have flying, and it has first strike. That's pretty annoying. Alright, our opponent's down to, I wasn't say 6, but now all of a sudden they're up to 9. That is a little dangerous. Alright, so there's a forest. Okay. So they're effectively at 13, thanks to these double life linkers. Four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sweet. Oh man. Can't really do anything here. I could swing with the... Alright, let's just attack. We need to get these lifelingers off the board. See what they do. So the double block. I think I'm fine with that. So if we do this, we trample through for 10. We hit them for 4. Let's do the math here. Okay, so this becomes 10. Trample's over for 7. And then this kicks for some additional 4. For that's 11. So they're at 2 if we do this. They would go down to 2. But then our board is empty. So we'll just let it go. Alright. So let's play Hallar and the Grow Chamber that they know about. Right, that doesn't have lifelink, so that's fine. Blood Artist is super annoying. Alright, so... Scared of Drana. So ping us with the Blood Artist triggers. Sure. And then we swing all. They can block maybe the Grow Chamber, and then they take 5 down to 6, and they're just in top deck mode. And we still have the Gift of Growth if we can untap with Hallar. We have the Wildwood Scourge and another Grow Chamber to play and adapt for the 4th one. So yeah, we're in a pretty good spot there. Alright, brings Gunbait 05. Alright, hand's decent. Looking for a 3rd land here to get this Jadelight down. But yeah, we'll start with Grow Chamber Guardian. There's another Grow Chamber. I love drawing into those when we can adapt and draw into them with that. But Agonize and Remorse. And the Unranked Play Cube. Sweet. So you don't like to have fun, opponent? I understand. Yeah, I'm playing Jank here. Just take whatever. Sure, Jadelight's the best card. Well, there's another forest. That's perfect. Of course, we use our Jadelight Ranger, so it is what it is. So now, see if they tap out for a creature here, if they just want to kill stuff. Agonizing Remorse. I think we just hit them for 4 and draw another Growth Chamber. Pretty much guaranteed they're going to just have like sweepers, so yeah, just hit them when we can. Try to get some card advantage going, and hopefully that's enough to kind of wear out the removal. Maelstrom Pulse. Alright. I imagine you'd want to save that, but that's just me. Alright, we'll play these two. It's tempting to keep the Kavu, but we got the Vivien in hand, and Domri's Ambush even, so we'll try it. I mean, they're playing this spot removal pretty banishing light. So your Abzan. Opponent, why are you so cute? Alright, we'll play Vivien.
My heart beats in unison with the
Put some
wild.
counters, hit for 4.
Stomping time.
Hopefully we draw a land here, we can Growth Chamber and Iroan games. Not a land. So Jadelight, so we could hit a land with that. It is a land. And a Shivan Fire, we can graveyard that. And nothing to fire. We'll play it out. I mean, they're playing the spot removal like they don't have anything. Whoa, distribute. So now we get to tutor up
How you
the 4th one. We've got 2 threats here on the board. Hopefully they just play like an actual permanent here, and we can just kill them. 3 Maelstrom Pulses. You're just playing Abzan removal? Like, why? Why, opponent? Is your life that bad that you need to punish people for actually playing cards? You just have to kill everything that they play.
We're fit enough to survive.
Alright, so we got the shuffle. Maybe that helps, maybe not. Hit them for 5, down to 6. We're kind of drawn empty here, but we do potentially get to draw some cards. Okay, D-Spark. Why you have so much hate in your heart, opponent? You're just playing all removal spells in Abzan colors, and your mana base is terrible. And you concede because you're just a horrible person. Like, if you're playing control, that's one thing, but I mean, this is all you're running. Alright, we're going to Spriggan 86. Wow. I mean, Jadelight Ranger is pretty good. And we are on the play, so... Oh, Pelt Collector. Alright, so we got Jadelight next turn. Hope we find us a land, Vivien. Maybe get us a Hallar or a red source. Up against Dimir. That's awesome. Thought Erasure. He realizes the unranked play queue, opponent. But apparently other people are not allowed to have fun because reasons. Alright, we'll Jadelight Ranger because it's our best option here. Tempting to play the Scourge, but we have 1 in hand. I think we'll just bin that. Swing for 2. So I guess we Wildwood Scourge for X3 next turn, unless they Thought Erasure us again, or counter us, Sinister Sabotage us. Okay, so you're a Surveil deck. Cool. Alright, we do have a Kavu. Do we care? Let's attack. See if they block. Get some combat tricks if they do. They do not. I doubt they're going to sweep the board since they just play out a couple creatures they probably want alive, so we'll get some creatures down of our own. Pretty nice synergy here with the Pelt Collector Wildwood Scourge. I could have done that before combat, make things a little bit more difficult, but then it would have made their blocks maybe a little bit easier. Okay, they're definitely not sweeping the board here with overextending like this. Alright, so everything has counters on it, so that's amazing for the Invigorating Surge. Don't have Trample, although Pelt Collector can get Trample once it has 3 or more counters, so it's close. If we do Invigorating Surge that, we will. We've got lots of toughness on the board we have to fight through, and these Phantasms are growing. So we definitely have an uphill battle here. Vivien would be pretty amazing, but nope. I just want a Kavu, but I think we just need to push through, force them to maybe do something. We have 5 mana open, so we can do both. We can't kick this, but we can always cast it. Nothing has Trample, except Pelt Collector if it gets a counter from Invigorating Surge, so we'll see. If they don't block, then I think they're just dead, because we can double the counters on the Wildwood Scourge. So they kind of have to block that. They do have 2 cards in hand, so odds are they're going to find either already have or will find something to surveil with next turn. Okay, so they're forcing issue, so we can get rid of both of their. So we want to keep this alive and get rid of those. It doesn't trample through, but it does clear their board, so I think that's worth it. And with just the Dimir Spy Bug, it's like in English. We do have a 10/10, a 3/2, and a 3/3. And we have more and more creatures. Okay, so they bury their bones, grows their Phantasm and their Spy Bug. At 10 life, and we got some beefy creatures on board. They still don't have good attacks. They don't know about this Kavu. Now they attack. Hallar, a little late to the party. Alright, let's just fire this off for 5 so we can grow. Scourge and the Pelt Collector. And Pelt Collector has Trample now. Jadelight kills their creatures. They go down to 3. No attacks. So they have 2 cards. We have 2 cards they don't know about. They have a card in hand. Could just be a Sabotage. So we're just going to attack. Could be a Tyrant Scorn or something, but we haven't seen removal from them yet. There's not any removal spells that have Surveil on them. So, yeah. Okay, we're going to ZPM. 3 lands and a Growth Chamber Guardian, some removal. It's decent enough. It is decent. So we can play the Growth Chamber and adapt it on 3 if nothing else. Would be nice if Hallar showed up in our Hallar deck, but it does show you we can still win without Hallar. So it's nice to have that build around and also be able to win without your build around. Alright, Stomping Ground, of course. I don't know what's up with us finding all these mountains when we have more forests, but... Alright, Jeskai. This, are you playing a control deck in the unranked play queue opponents? Who hurt you? Well, we'll adapt, see if they want to kill it in response. Nope. Obviously try to play around Deafening Clarions and things like that. We could still have Shadow of the Skies, but that's fine. We're hitting them for a bunch of damage. If they go Planeswalker here, we do have the Ambush. They do not. Well, they could have a Storm's Wrath. But I'm gonna press my luck. We're gonna play you. We do have the Gift of Growth, which can always keep one of them alive, but if it's a Shatter, then we're just dead. Okay, we're Smothering, tithing it up over there. Alright, so what can we do here? Don't care. You can have all the lands. Don't see many decks that actually leverage Smothering Tithe very well. People love to jam it, but they don't really seem to have ways to really utilize it efficiently. Yeah, 2 attacks. Pump it up, put them down to 4. Take that action. +2. Man, do we do this? Oh, let's cancel. It's not lethal, so we hold it. Alright, pass turn. Don't need to play more creatures into a what's probably going to be a board wipe. Settle the wreckage. Settle the wreckage. Let's get settled. Maybe seal away? I have no idea what they're running. It is settled. Nice. Did not see that coming at all. Alright, grab a forest. Let's just Kavu. Obviously, where there's smoke, there's fire. They could definitely be running more. No idea what they're trying to smother and tithe into. But I'm not going to respect the card. Not going to pay for it. You can have all the tokens until you show me you actually have something worthy of all that ramp. Fire off the chemisters. Is that Locket? Okay, Clarion into Clarion. It's pretty efficient use of cards. No, I'm just going to decline. You can have all the lands, or all the tokens. I'm just going to play you, and play you. So go. So we have 4 mana open, so we can adapt. We can Gift of Growth. So shuffle everything back. This is just a what's that card? Emergency Powers. Good game. So they have another Settle the Wreckage. Guaranteed. Settle the Wreckage players always say good game, preemptively. Yep, and you want to say good game. You have another forest. Well, I want to get this Hallar online. Obviously have to be wary of Shadow the Skies, but we need to pressure them. And we can't do it with just without creatures on the board. And if we keep all of our creatures back, it's not going to help us win either. Omniscience. Okay, you have 2 cards in hand. It better be something good. 1,000-Year Storm. And Tezzerets. Okay, you can make a token. You're going to draw a card. Good game yourself. So predictable. If you're in Historic and your opponent's running any kind of control deck, any deck that might have Settled the Wreckage, and they have double white mana open, you kind of have to just play around it. Unless you just have no choice to attack all because you might just lose anyway. So yeah, Settle the Wreckage, pretty nasty card. I don't know why people think they can get away with that good gaming, and like I'm just supposed to attack all in because, yeah. Especially if they good game you, they're guaranteed they have Settle the Wreckage. You can just tell the way your opponent plays, leave mana open, not play spells when they have cards in hand. You can typically tell. All right, so pretty janky deck, but hey, ran pretty well for us. You know, we still have some good cards. Geez, can I find it? Hallar's Ambush. So I came across some weird decks. I didn't really get a value off the Domri's Ambush, but I mean, it should be facing creature decks, and that's going to be pretty helpful in those spots. Untamed Kavu, that's a fun little card. I think it's pretty reasonable as a 2/2 Vigilance and Trample or 5/5 Vigilance and Trample on curve. It's not a bad card. And Wildwood Scourge, of course, can get pretty out of control. Obviously, the only thing that's missing is Trample, which we do have the Vivien for to kind of give it Trample while putting counters on it as well. And of course, if you put a counter on one creature plus the Scourge, then the Scourge gets a counter from Vivien, plus it sees the counter that goes on the other creature, and so it gets a counter from that as well. So that's pretty amazing. First Iroan games, yeah, I kind of like having this here as a 2/of. Putting counters on our Hallar, growing it bigger, so when you do kick something, we can do extra damage. And also drawing us cards, ramping us, so we can actually play these kicker spells that are maybe a little overcosted. But yeah, we have the nice kind of a aggro start here with the Pelt Collector and the Growth Chamber Guardian and Jadelight Ranger. So there's definitely a foundation here where you can just kind of be aggressive against a lot of other decks and kind of leverage that to your advantage. And you have kind of Hallar to kind of come down and also fill up that 3-drop aggressive slot with 3/3 trample. That can get pretty big pretty quick. And obviously with the kicker, with that triggered ability, being able to kind of close out games that way is pretty sweet. So that's the deck. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you have any suggestions on how you would do this differently, Hallar isn't uncommon, so it is pretty budget friendly. Vivien, of course, is mythic, but she's a good card. Definitely would recommend it. And she's M20, so she will be rotating, but if you do Historic at all, which Historic is an awesome format, definitely recommend having 1 or 2 Viviens in your collection. Jadelight Ranger, if you've been around, you probably have some of these. If not, you could substitute. There's definitely other 3-drop creatures you could be running in this slot if you don't have the rares. Maybe you're newer to Arena. Could run Gruul Spellbreaker. You should definitely have those in your collection, although she rotates. She does rotate as well since she's in that Ravnica block. I mean, I guess Bone Crusher Giant kind of goes into anything, right? But it doesn't really synergize what we're trying to do. Annex doesn't really work since we're mostly green. It's kind of awkward. If you want to be Mimi, maybe jam some Krankos instead of Jadelights or something, or just otherwise make room for it. Not really a big fan of that. Yeah. Let's see. Subira, maybe? Nah, not really. I mean, Garruk's Harbinger is pretty decent card in and of itself. Could always just run like Merfolk Branchwalker and just go more 2-drops. I mean, it's hard to replace Jadelight Ranger because she's a really good card. But yeah, I'd probably first take a look at like a Gruul Spellbreaker and things like that. Maybe Yorvo, since we're mostly green, but I think we're having enough red that it's going to be a little bit awkward. Getting Yorvo down, especially as like if you're doing 3 for 3, but maybe as like a 1 or 2 of, and then you find something else. Gruul is an uncommon, so that could be a decent budget option as well, since your creatures would come down with counters. It's an Elf Archer, not a human. Kavu, of course, Elf Crab Warrior, and Elf Warrior, so we don't have any humans in the deck. Of course, Rada's a good card. It kind of fits into pretty much anything, although obviously she's better in other decks than others. We don't. The 6-mana activated ability is not really something that we're going to be counting on to win games for us, so it should just be a 3/3 with first strike on our turn, so it's pretty medium. But yeah, I think I would start with Gruul Spellbreaker or Gruul as my first options if you don't have Jadelight Ranger. Invigorating Surge, uncommon. Domri's Ambush. It does rotate, but it's a really powerful card. Untamed Kavu is uncommon, so if you do have all these commons and uncommons, then definitely you can craft these, but for some people they're hard to come by. Growth Chamber does rotate, so it's a little hard to replace that. There are some decent 2-drops. Though, like I said, the Merfolk Branchwalker, but of course that's historic only. Yeah, I think Branchwalker is going to be your best bet, honestly, if you don't have the Growth Chamber Guardians. And then, of course, Gift of Growth and Shivan Fire. So it's pretty heavy on the uncommons. So if you're hurting for those, then it's going to be a little difficult to replace. But there's definitely some flexible cards to just kind of look for counter synergies. But yeah, Hallar, just a fun little janky card. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And until next time, make sure you jank with a purpose.